I can't remember a single one of my fights. I can only remember.
Really?
I cannot. I just hear the bell go and then it's game on.
And you just, even afterwards, you can't.
It's so intense.
Yeah.
No, can't remember anything.
So even now you cannot recall any of your fights, what happened during, or?
I mean, there's one I certainly can't remember.
Because you got knocked out.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've won all my fights on knockout except for one. And that's the one where I get knocked out. and that I cannot remember at all.
All your fights was actually on knockout? Whenever
there's only... actually, no. The very first fight, my debut fight, I challenged the Nordic champion. And it was a... What can I say? It was a rigged competition. He left the ring with black eyes and he was in the floor and so on. And then he wins with one punch vote.
Oh, really?
So I then challenged him immediately again. This was for the Danish national championship. So you're allowed to challenge within a 3-month period. So I challenged him again. And it was so rigged. Nobody saw him on the scales. Mm-hmm. I've never heard about that. So I've had 11 championships fights, 10 or 11 over an 11-year period. And I lost one match in 11 years. And I don't know, hundreds of fights, right? But...
And this is kickboxing.
This is kickboxing, but I also had I won my first international boxing tournament in January 1989. Yeah, January 89. I win my first international tournament.
Yeah, I'm born in January 88.
yeah. So yeah, all of 88 I spent on getting below 54 kilos.
Shit.
That's light.
Below 54?
My first match, in my first tournament, I fought below 54 kilos.
And what do you weigh now?
69.
69?
Yeah. Wow.
So then so
54 kilos. I mean, that's like... I mean, what do you eat? Nothing.
But at that point, because it was really difficult for me... I mean, we're not recording, right? We're just talking.
No, we're not recording.
Good. Because I don't want to talk too much about kickboxing. But at that point, because I think it's going to be boring for people to listen to, honestly.
No, all right, keep speaking. We'll decide if it's boring or not.
But no, I mean, my advantage was I wasn't stronger than anybody else in my group or weight class or anything. That wasn't the case. The case was I was tall and I was left-handed, and I was good at boxing. I was very strong on boxing and not so good on the legs, but but I had great timing. Mm-hmm. It was always the timing, and then I'm very good at smelling blood. I know when I can sense that the fight is I can finish this now. Yeah. If I just turn on the turbo and I push myself for 30 seconds, then I can finish this. So that was probably my greatest advantage. But I was awkward for a lot of people because I was left-handed. So all of a sudden you have to move differently, you have to think differently. So for me, 99% of the time I would meet a right-handed guy, so everything was normal to me. Which is why that one fight I lose, he's left-handed. Oh. So we were like weird against weird. But he was I have to say, he was a dirty fighter, and he got away with what he got away with. But fair and square, I can't remember a damn thing. Yeah. But he basically hits me in the throat, which is completely legal, with his forearm and not even his hand. So it was, under normal circumstances he would be disqualified, but how can you disqualify one guy when the other one's sleeping on the floor? Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, in terms of diet back then was pretty much turkey and raisins. And I would just have turkey and water all day long. Yeah. Just fried turkey breast, and just put some paprika on it to give it some flavor, and then. So I would do that 10 days to 2 weeks before competition, and just trim myself down. And then, you always get weighed the day before the fight. Yeah. So you get on the scales, and I mean at the Nordic championships, so champions of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland, we all weighed the same, but I was nearly a head taller than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And we were all at 59.8, every single one of us. Wow. Exact same weight. And they just looked at me like, what the couldn't understand it. So that gave me, of course, a reach advantage, and in kickboxing you have longer legs than arms, so even more of a reach advantage. So they had to, very often I was in a situation where people had to gamble to get in, and then I could always just contra-fight. So they would put their weight into my fist, basically, and that kind of hurts. So that was that. But then after the weighing, once you've been on the scales, then you would eat some baked potatoes and scale and get your sugar levels up. And then it's fight time.
Carbohydrates.
But it's a different intensity. It's a very different thing.
But how much weight did you lose every time you did this period?
I was normally in the latter part of my career. I was always at 63, 62 to 63 and a half would be absolute max, and then I would drop 3.5 kilos in the last couple of weeks. And so there was, I mean, no drugs, of course, but we would take supplements like creatine, monophosphate, and so on. And that was basically the only thing we ever took. But other than that, it was like, you know, what you've done yourself. You know, 2 times a day, 6 days a week, and
training.
You show up for the gym. There was no time for all the basics, push-ups, sit-ups, and all that. You had to do that on your own. And then when you show up, it would be warm up and fight.
So you'd spar a lot. I mean,
all the time. All the time. And on the national team, of course, you spar. It's just like going into a dance hall where you're changing partners all the time. But here it's weight classes. So you find out if I mean, I fought heavyweights and super heavyweights, but these are champions. So they're not like, you know,
they're not easy.
Some drunken down from the bar. You know, they know what to do. And so in that situation, you just go 110% because you had to try to level out the strength level. So you had to hit with everything you had all the time. And of course, your tank goes dry really quickly. So when I would fight heavyweights, you know, first round I may win it because I would just hit and run. And then round 2 I would slowly die, and round 3 was never fun.
And there was no round 4.
Well, you can't get away. When you're fighting a guy that's 2 meters and weighs 125 kilos. I was once kicked so hard, he lifted me off the ground, and I flew like some American wrestler. I flew into the ropes and was catapulted back. And the only thing I remember thinking was, duck, just duck. Because there'll be a hand, and there was a hand, and I ducked. But I just envisioned in my head is going to go one way, and my body will go another. It's not going to be fun. No.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting topic to discuss about the weight, both the weight cutting and the weight classes. I mean, fighting is not the only sport that has weight classes, but if you compare it to like CrossFit, which I think is kind of cool. But you can't really do that in fighting. But in CrossFit, you choose your own weight, and your weight is the one that you think you're going to be the fittest at, and you're going to be the best at. If you think that's 90 kilos, then good for you. If you think that's 80, then sure.
No, but that's one of the things. Is like golf introduced a handicap. I don't know the history of golf, but I don't think that was always there.
Right.
Whereas I think CrossFit is scalable. I mean, even if I speak to my work colleagues and I say you should come. They're going, it's too hard. I said, but I say, how can you say that? There's 70-year-old people there. You know, there's people with handicaps. I said that I think it's one of the first times I ever came here. I saw a girl or a lady, young lady, who was visibly handicapped, and I just remember thinking, just fantastic. You know, you give them so much respect for showing up and doing their best. And I thought that's a great attraction. So I love it when I see people. There's not many people older than myself, but I do like it when I see that people are giving it 100% at plus 50 or plus 60 and so on, or even showing up for the first time.
It's actually kind of cool if you think about that. Moving is one of the elemental activities that you can do as a human being,
right?
And that you can get through accidents or from birth, you can be handicapped into that. So that you cannot move anymore, And so it's kind of cool, as you say, to see that there is a sport that people can still do it even though they have these disabilities.
Well, I was listening to an interview the other day, and it was interviewing a elderly woman. She was 93 years old.
Yeah.
And she does CrossFit. And CrossFit for her is not, you know, thrusters and pull-ups, but it's, you know, one burpee. That might be just, and think about how functional, she was saying how functional it was to not be scared to fall down and not being able to get up, because she does it every day as practice. Burpee is basically you go down and then you get up, or you sit down on a chair and you get, you know, so when you get to that age, I mean, it becomes just a question of you're afraid to fall if you go take a walk and you don't know if you're gonna get up, or so. But see, does CrossFit is just the application, and you know. Yeah. So it's definitely a common assumption from people that they of course they see the sport of CrossFit and they think that, you know, I need to get fit before I start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what they say. You know?
That's what they. I need to prepare first. So I always say the hardest thing is to get out the door.
Yeah. But you know,
once you got your bag and you're out the door, you're committed.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I mean, I came here because I had a knee injury. I wanted to do calisthenics many years ago, and then I became a father, and I kind of put a brakes on things, and so I was actually here when there was 11 people, something like that. There was only a few people here, and
so how long is that ago actually?
7 years ago.
Yeah. You started here.
I was just here for one class, and it was a great class. It was that French lady that lives out in Sandweiler, the one with short blonde hair.
Elisa.
Yeah, she was here.
Yeah.
And it was the Icelandic, I think it was the owner.
Sigþór.
Yeah, he was here. And we were doing lots of things with the wooden sticks.
You were outside,
and then we went outside with kettlebells, and we did things there in the parking lot. It was great, but you know, I had other things that I needed to do. So then it took some years before I got back, and I had a knee surgery, and I was told you can't do, you know, the various sports. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna fix myself, and then I'm gonna come and do it. And I'll tell you what really is an attraction for me is to be a pupil again, to be a student, and to come in. And I initially was attracted to the calisthenics because it's body weights, and that's probably where I would do the best. And I kind of looked at weightlifting as, you know, really simple-minded. I thought, you know, what's the attraction of that? And of course, big learning curve, and I kind of go, wow, there's a lot of technique here, and I thought I had good coordination, and I, you know, have to relearn. And I understand that a 19-year-old or something like that can relearn quickly, but when you're my age, it takes a little bit more time. and so certain things make a lot of sense to me, and I'm very happy to just progress. And you know, I've been here 2.5 years now, and I still think that I'm nowhere near where I hope to be one day. So yeah, you know, it's a journey, and you know, you still see people getting excited. When I saw one of the coaches being excited doing a ring muscle up because she hadn't done it for a couple of years. I don't know what the reasons were, but it is a very contagious effect when you see people succeeding a landmark. And absolutely. So yeah, I still have a lot of mental landmarks that I thought, I can see this guy, he's really good at that. Yeah, I want to get to that point, you know. I'll never get good at the assault bike, right? I know I'll never do it, but I just have to.
The devil bike.
Just have to get through it.
But you mentioned a good point earlier about the conventional gym, that you feel like it's about to change, and what, you know, kind of CrossFit brings to the table, and kind of hitting on these points that we're suffering together. We're getting PRs together. When you're in the regular gym, you do your own thing, you got your headphones on, you don't talk to each other.
Or too much to people.
Yeah, and just,
might be the kind
just
of guy,
talking and
just getting there to talk.
Yeah, but there's definitely something with the structure of, you know, people doing it together in a group. And then also I think a big change is going to to be also with the lack or the machines. We are the machines. The machines are not, you know, crowding the space. Like if you walk into any regular gym, you're just gonna be full of machines and racks and all kind of.
But I mean, I think for many reasons it's a dying breed. They're building big blocks that are being held together with the same small ligaments that you can't grow.
Yeah.
So it just won't become functional at some point. It just won't work.
But do you think that it's gonna progress, like, in a way that, like now you have, like, I don't know how many basic fits here in Luxembourg. Let's say you have 10 or something. Do you think in 10 years that you'll have, instead of the basic fit spaces, you'll have CrossFit, not necessarily just CrossFit boxes, but just CrossFit designed space for people to come and train,
space.
In that space. So it's not necessarily a CrossFit affiliate.
I can see the attraction of that, but I think the danger lies within proper coaching.
Yeah,
I think that CrossFit also, I mean, the flip side of the medal is that lots of people say, but CrossFit has so many injuries. I mean, if you're loading up too fast and want to achieve something that your body's not rigged for yet, you know, you have to understand that like a triathlete, you know, they have a mindset that, you know, we eat the elephant one bite at a time, and when you are an older age, I think you understand that the most important thing is to stay injury free. At least that is for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the elements that is grossly overlooked in CrossFit is the stretching.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's because we have a set frame where we go, okay, we have to warm up, we have to do the WOD, and we've got an hour, and we have to do some techniques and some strengths, and we have to also try new things now and again. I think that, I mean, if the class was an hour and a half, it would be ideal from a health point of view, but it's just not efficient from a people point of view. That day, you know, an hour, hey, that's my lunch break, I can do that. I can just fit it in as my hour of sanity every day.
Yeah.
An hour and a half will mean that people will have to dedicate more. It'll mean that you guys make less money. There's just not enough space in the day. So I think for the people that are really dedicated, I would imagine that they do a lot of extra stuff on their own.
But do you think we should maybe incorporate more mobility into the hour?
I think it would be great from a stay injury-free point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody, including myself, I mean, I did a 10-second, 20-second stretching before the class today, and I thought, my goodness, this is getting so bad. You know, I really need to do something. And I used to do the Jean-Claude on office chairs. And so I've fallen from grace. but I think that people would love it, because it's something that everybody struggles with. Mm-hmm. And you do have some coaches that are very good at it, but it's once every quarter maybe that it happens. Yeah,
it's not a consistent.
I think if you on some days, like on, I don't know, Thursday speciality class or Saturday, if you said, all right, we're gonna do an intensive warm-up, and then we're gonna do a lot of stretching, then I think you'd probably find a lot of people saying, yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah, what we've had, it's a great point. It's something, you know, I've personally been considering. But we've had like specialty classes that are just mobility. We've had that, and we've had like yoga on a Sunday. But I mean, it's not the same. But I think what would work would be maybe having on a more consistent basis the last 10 minutes some kind of structure or mobility. I
can tell you how a kickboxing a session works. You come prepared, of course. You've done your stuff, so you're fit for fight. And there's an intensive warm up, and there's a very short meditation, like a minute and a half.
Like what do you like?
Calming the nervous
where
system.
you're getting into the mind, because this is before you fight.
Right.
So you have to get into the mindset and understand that there's risk involved. You know.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I mean, and there is risk involved. I think my record is I broke 6 noses in one season. And I've had my own broken many times too. So it you know, there is risk involved, but with that, and there's also risk involved with CrossFit. It's just, you know, how far you want to push it. But I think that that we meditated for like a minute and a half, and you can get really good at meditation, and you can get into the zone quickly. Then we would fight, and then there would be 20 minutes to half an hour stretching, and then meditation again. So, you know, you got through, you had a starting point and you had an ending point, and you kind of went in and out of that zone. Yeah. Where you got into fight mode and you exited it in a calm and peaceful manner.
Well, did the meditation process, like, was it always the same?
More or less. Yeah. More or less. Yeah, pretty much the same, because everybody has their own kind of way of getting to that space.
Okay, so it's basically you have that time.
Yeah, the Sifu sensei or whatever would be sitting in front, and we would all be in a lotus position, and then we would find our own inner peace. Okay. And everybody has their own way of clearing their mind. Yeah. I had my way, and I think some people maybe have difficulty getting there, or there's also a lot of breathing going on. Right. Especially if you've just been in something that's extremely intense, and you have to get to a peaceful moment. Another thing I think that could be fun for you to try one day we would do what we called weight training, which meant 2 kilo dumbbells, and then you did a lot of jumping around, high knees, kicks, and so on, where you're always moving your arms, and then static, and then you just keep on going, really small movements to train the small control muscles. And it was always fun to see if some of the heavier guys came in and they would be used to lifting weights, and then we'll see a couple of 2 kilos and they would go and then within 30 seconds they'll be like small birds. So I think if you my approach to sport has changed over the years. I think that after starting CrossFit, before everything was on a 3-minute clock for me. It was just a matter of how many rounds. You go 12 rounds full blast. So my mental perception was always, my heartbeat had to be regulated to 3 minutes, and I would know within 5 seconds of 5-10 seconds, I would know when the round was about to finish. And then I had 1 minute to catch my breath, and then full blast again. CrossFit has changed my perception a lot. I no longer regard being in shape as, can you run a marathon at a certain time or so on. I have respect for it, but after CrossFit, or on this journey I'm on now, I feel that the baseline is how quickly can you move the blood to where you need it, because CrossFit constantly throws you around. And then I have an old interview by Schwarzenegger in the back of my mind, where he said, you have to shock your system.
Yes, shock the muscle.
Yeah, you have to shock your system. You have to go to a place that is extremely unpleasant. And I read another book some time ago, which was about the Navy SEALs, where they said, when your body says stop, your muscles are only 40-50% done. Yeah. You have to push through the pain, because it's just your body saying slow down. You have to protect yourself. So it's a mental thing, and the acid comes out and so on. So I always try to envision, I said it to you the other day, I said, always try to envision there's $1 million on the table. Would you do one more if you got $1 million for it? Because very often you would. For most people you would, and I've been in a situation with kickboxing where I would be able to, I don't know if I could do it today, but I pushed myself to the level where I would puke. I would do interval training. This is something that I'm sure you would enjoy, Anna. You would put a bucket around 10 meters, 15 meters away from a sandbag, and you would sprint up to the bag, and you would blast it for 30 seconds with the fastest and hardest punches you had. Then you'd sprint back to the bucket and then back again, and then you go on. You keep on doing that for 9 rounds, and you're dead. You're more than dead. So when you can push your body to that kind of level, you're really moving the boundaries. That's when you're developing. Schwarzenegger said he couldn't get muscle definition that he wanted, and so he was constantly doing the same stuff. And I think that is where CrossFit is really beneficial. It's never the same. And people get lazy when they go to the conventional gym. They go, today is chest day, and it's chest and legs, and then it's
back and
biceps, right? So I think that that element is where CrossFit really wins a lot of points, because we don't have to think. The biggest problem we have is when we open up the WOD and we say, okay, it's 5 times 10 back squat and then some running, where we feel that, you know, this is not very inventive. You know, I think most people love when there's a lot of different movements, and for me, I try to show up the days when I know I'm really crap. You know, if I read the WOD, I go, I know I'm so bad at that. You know, anything that's overhead or requires muscle in the legs, I'm really bad at.
Yeah, but so, you are the exception then.
No, but I don't think so. I am.
More, but
yeah,
I don't think
population.
I don't think so. I am. I honestly think that when I speak to people here, they all, you know, the feedback I feel there is that people say, yeah, I saw that and I thought I gotta do it. I gotta do it. But you know, I have my little stupid yell, and I try to set myself up. I try to say, all right, game time now. Because when I scream and you know, want to push, you know, I'm fully aware. I'm raising the flag, saying, I'm the twat over here.
Yeah, just to paint the picture. Every time we'll put 10 seconds, we'll hear what do you yell? Jetsa?
No, it's just Danish. I'm just saying Jatak.
Okay.
It's like, Jatak, but it's
like yes, thank you.
It means yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Or
see,
yes,
good
please.
In Danish.
Or yes, please.
That's true.
But in the world of martial art,
bring it, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's more like respect to you in this case, or to Joe. It's in karate they say us, which is understood, and it's more like, yes, I'll execute. I've understood the order.
Like a yes, sir.
I'm gonna do it. You know. And so I say it mainly for myself, but also, yeah, if I can get some spirit going, then fine. I know some people think that it's super annoying, but other people find it, you know.
I don't think people mind it at all. I mean, I think it's just.
I've heard both sides. You know, I haven't heard both sides. I've only heard positive, but I can see some facial expressions.
Well, to be honest, I think mostly it might be that when people don't know you and you do something like that, they're like, "What the fuck is he doing? Like,
why is he yelling?"
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
There was one guy that said, "Meaning what?"
Yeah.
but
once one gets to know you and one knows why you're doing it, does it really matter? No.
For me, it doesn't matter. If somebody has an issue, they can just say to me, you know, stop your stupid yelling.
What kind of issue should you have?
But I would expect them to go to Arne and say it, and then he will say, "Claus, you know, it's not cool."
No, they're afraid of
But it's also to set myself up. You know, it's mainly to set myself up to say, all right, now that you have advertised your own presence, you can't fail.
Yeah.
You know, because if you fail now, you're even more idiotic. You know, then you're a real idiot. So it's to push myself and say, all right, I put myself out there. Now I have to. Now there's no turning back. You know, it's you're out over the ice, and it's better to go towards the other shore than try to turn around.
Well, it's like, in a way, it's similar as you know, some people always put their scores in regardless of the workout, and some will just put the scores when it's really good. It's kind of like they're putting themselves out there in a way. Yeah. I mean, I used to put it in every time, and then I work out. I enjoy working out with Thomas Hartmann. There, he's a great guy and an all-round really good athlete, I think. So and he's got 10 years on me, so I feel that if I can just get close to him, then then I'm content. But you know, I asked Thomas once. I said, "Do you put in your scores?" He said, "I can't be bothered with that." And I really admire him, because I think that he has this inner peace and calm, where he's not here. He enjoys the community and all that, like we all do, but he's not here to compete with others. He competes with himself, and I think a lot of people could learn something from that in general. That you find that inner
calmness, and you say, right, I'm here to push my own envelope, whatever that line in the sand may be, I'm going to push that. So yeah, I enjoy working out with him, and I stopped putting in the scores.
Yeah.
There's only if I do somewhat where I feel like this is one I need to remember because it may come again,
benchmark,
or I'd like to see how I progress. Then I may do it.
Oh, but I think even you comparing yourself to Thomas in a way, or it's a friendly, like
there's friend competition, absolutely.
But I think that's also super important. I think the guys that kind of keep an eye on a certain individual or whatnot, I think they. You push a little bit harder, and
yeah, but
you have more fun.
Thomas is going to be a father soon. Let's see where he is in a year's time.
We know how that is.
No, but I mean, he's in great shape, so I don't have the time. My 1 hour of sanity every day is simply if I can make it here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working right now, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean. That's what you have to realize. Most of the people, they come in here to just, I mean, for lack of a better term, ventilate, or just get out the energy and just don't think about anything else than do what they're told and exercise.
But that is great to switch off.
Exactly.
To switch off.
And super important
to have the ability to just follow.
Right.
And that I completely agree with that. I think that. It is great when somebody just bosses you around and say, do this, it will be good for you.
Yeah.
But I think what has been the one of the biggest pluses, I think, is that people are not afraid to help each other. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll have that person that comes up and tries to correct you in a way where, maybe at the moment where you don't want.
Yeah, it's a bad moment.
But if you pick your moments right, and you guys and the other team of the coach, I think it's great. I think we're all here to improve, and ultimately you will only progress to a certain level based on your own strength. If you don't get better technique, you won't. But I think an underestimated ingredients in real progression is what do you eat? If you go out and have hot dogs when you leave, then what's the point? So of course everybody has their own approach to it and what they want to achieve, but ultimately if you're just counterbalancing all the alcohol, then fine, then accept that you will get to this level and nothing more. But I think if people feed their body with the right stuff and make sure they stretch and do, I think it's healthy to do other things. And just always have other things that will, like yoga or whatever, just to mess up your rhythm. Mm-hmm. Then a lot of people I hear, not a lot, but there's been some incidents here where I feel that people have left and then they do gymnastics and then they come back and then maybe they've elevated certain levels and done things. I mean, I did it. I've tried nearly every sport, I think. Even the really weird ones I've tried. Yeah.
Pole dancing.
Pole dancing is super tough. But I think the weirdest I've done is underwater rugby.
Oh, I've done that too.
You've done that, yeah?
Really?
It's super fun, but you
really
need to
fun.
get up for air, But and I've done crazy stuff. We in Denmark we were 12, 14 guys that had a sports fraternity where we took turns in arranging it, and it had to be alternative. So fencing is pretty tough too. Yeah. There's weird things. But I think it's healthy for your body to be thrown into to something that it's not used to, and then you may actually achieve to come back to something that you really enjoy, like CrossFit, and you can have elevated in certain levels. Maybe you lose some strength, but you can get that back. I think that's the biggest threat I see in CrossFit is that you look at the games 7-8 years ago and you look at the games now, it's become a lot heavier. Yeah. And so I think there's an element of that there's too much an emphasis on it, because it becomes so bulky that you make it very difficult. And I understand that the 50 best, we need to kind of separate the stairs from the queers and all that,
Yeah.
and so the weight and scaling that way is a good way to do it. Another one is, you know, speed, you know, who comes first in whatever combination. But I think that is really where there will be some opposition from the community at some point. They're going to say, listen, you can't get to that level unless you start, you know, choosing some illegal substances.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could argue that you're already at that level.
Yeah, I'm sure you
the
see and experience. I don't, because I'm not competing, and I don't care what some other person wants to do to their own body. I'm not competing against anybody but myself. But I think that is if there is a threat to CrossFit, it's that element of that it becomes unobtainable or unreachable unless you are willing to, just like professional bike riding has had that reputation, where you won't win the Tour de France without having taken all sorts of
it's
stuff.
actually what you're saying is like for any sport. I mean, even if you want to play football and I don't know, you want to become an international football star, that's really, really hard to get to, and it's the same kind of thing. So it's the same here. If you want to get to the CrossFit Games, it's something really, really hard, and you need to work really, really hard for it. And I guess probably it might probably be easier than actually becoming a football star in the sense. I don't know. It might be up to discussion, but again, it's in every sport.
I think it is going to get tougher and tougher to be a CrossFit star because it is growing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was easy for me to be really good at kickboxing, but it was a small sport, you know, and I lived in a small country. So, you know, let's say there's maybe, I don't know.
Could you say that the weight class you were fighting in was also less? I don't know. It's just a general question.
No, I mean, there's lots of people that have the ability to trim themselves down. I mean, I looked like a junkie when I was fighting. I had really, you know, body fat of 5%. So I was way below what's healthy.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, you know, you can become a great athlete in, I think, nearly every sport if you are dedicated and you have the discipline. Then you can get to a certain level. Then there'll be some level of genetics that will get you to the last bit. But I mean, you can get really far on just being stubborn, you know, and really be focused, willing to cut away things in your life. But of course, when you get to certain levels, then there will always be the ones that would not make it on their own steam and are willing to break those rules. And I've seen fighters being coked up, you know. Of course, I've seen things, but you know, they would sometimes really crash and burn also. So. But I think that the real threat to CrossFit that I see is the escalating of the weights, because I think that if you have aspirations to become an athlete and you go, well, I mean, I need to put on 15 kilos of muscle, you know, how do you do that? That takes years if you're going to do that in a natural environment. Right.
Well, I think what's going to happen is, and it is happening, I feel that the separation between CrossFit as a sport and then CrossFit as
at the games.
Yeah, well, CrossFit as a sport at the games, and then the other part being CrossFit as recreational, keeping your
just
health
being
and
healthy.
Fitness. Yeah, that's gonna, you know, the line is always getting bigger and bigger between the two. Yeah, because, you know, 7-8 years ago, you could, if you were the fittest in your gym, you could have aspirations of becoming something in the sport of CrossFit. But now you really have to be a little bit more than that in order to be on the big stage. That's for sure.
And you have the CrossFit youth coming up.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
young people that actually grow up
right all around.
CrossFit,
so, but I think like with the weights and all this stuff. But I think if CrossFit affiliates, you know, the boxes, if they stay true to the core of the message of being
the ethos,
this is a scalable method, and they don't over focus on the weights, and this comes down to, of course, the person who's in control inside each box. Then I think, if anything, they're just tapping the surface on what they can do, because I think the starting message from CrossFit was very elite. You know, the perception of CrossFit is very elite. That's why people tell you, I gotta get fit before I start. But if they manage as a branding point to change that perspective, that they cater to the masses instead of the elite, think about it. I mean, think about how much.
I think this is the only way forward. I think
that's huge for them.
I think it's also. I mean, how many CrossFit gyms are in Luxembourg now? 4?
6.
6 now.
Yeah. Well, registered, but yeah.
So that and how many are less than 3 years old?
5. No, probably like 3.
So I read somewhere last year that a new CrossFit gym opens up every 24 hours or something like that worldwide, something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I think that says it all, really, that we're finally getting to the point where things are coming back to basics, but also healthy. I think when you want to go and open up a conventional gym, you need an enormous amount of money because all the machines cost a lot of money. Here, thankfully, you are the machine, like you said, so it's not the same cost. I don't know what this entire gym has cost, but it hasn't been 5 million, right? Oh. So I think most other investments are really serious.
Right.
And then when you look at the statistics on how many fixed gym memberships, how many times per month people use it, I think the number is on average 1.5 times.
No, it's more here.
No, not here in the box. I'm talking about conventional gyms.
Yeah, for sure.
It's 1.5 times that they use the gym membership because they have it, because it's good to say, I work out.
In the back of their mind,
but they have no motivation to come because they don't have a place they need to sign in, and there's no camaraderie, and if I haven't shown up for a couple of weeks, there'll be at least one guy that sends me an SMS saying, "Where are you?" And I like that. I like that. I think it's the way forward. And I've heard Joe say in front of everybody, it's the social element, right? It's the community that this is about. And I think, let's move in that direction. But I think everybody just comes here with their own approach. But we all on our own journey. I mean, you guys are so young that you've achieved a lot, but you're nowhere peaking, right? You can still go a lot further. So in general, when you look across the board in the world, you see boxers that are world champions in their 40s, right? That didn't happen 20 years ago. It didn't. Just wasn't the case. So I think everybody is getting a lot better at maintaining and keeping fit to an older age. And I have an old friend's voice in my head that used to take care of nursing homes and so on. And she said to me, the people that are in their last stage of their life, the ones that can do something, are all ex-athletes or ex-active. The ones that cannot feed themselves or walk around are the ones that have never done anything. Even mentally,
that's also the main reason why people get into an elderly home, is because they're not they cannot feed themselves, they cannot move themselves. They need physical help to actually keep on living. And that's, as you say, if you manage to stay fit, to keep your muscles moving and your joints moving for a long time, even if, as you said with the older lady, if it's just like you say a burpee, but if it's just lying on the ground and getting back up again, that's such a huge improvement in your life. Absolutely. That's kind of cool. But that's what we're aiming for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're always saying like, you guys are young and I'm so old. How old are you, man? Because you sound like you're 68 or something.
47.
47, come
47.
on. You're still young. Yeah, he doesn't look like
you're not even second half yet.
Statistically,
the whistle is about to blow.
Statistically, I am on my second half.
Come on. You're doing CrossFit?
No. They say 80, right, for men?
Really?
Yeah.
80.
That's the average age for men now. Around 80.
Average. Are you average?
That depends.
Have you ever been average?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many things I'm crap at. So,
so either you're below average or above average.
Well, everything I wear is size medium, so
yeah. No, that's good. I thought you brought up a good point with the separation when you're doing a workout, with the separation between what the body can actually physically do and then what you think it can do. That stopper that tells you you know, like put the wall ball down because you can't do another rep, but physically you actually can. And he used the motivator of saying, you know, if there was $1 million on the table, would you do one more rep? And and that'll kind of motivate you to get there.
Oh, but you saw today. I mean, I'm vocal. So when I'm in a team, I will yell at my partner to push.
Yeah.
You know, because when I feel that you're close to me and you're yelling at me, whether it's you, your wife, or whoever else is around, and say, "Come on," you know, you can always squeeze that one extra rep out. You can nearly always do it.
Yeah.
And so when I am in motion and the water is going on, the only reason if I don't lift it is if I'm at that point where I think if I take this one here, I can complete that one, but then I can't do the next.
Right.
If I feel that I'm so close to my edge that if I do just one more lift, then I'm unable to do the next free, but if I wait a couple of seconds more, then I can push free. If I'm at that point, then I will, stare at it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But funny enough, if somebody yells enough at you, you get so annoyed with it that you push yourself. So I try to do that to other people and pray they don't do it to me. But I like pushing. I think it's why we are here. And you like to challenge me, right? And there was a day some weeks ago where Philip, the other Danish guy that I sometimes work out with, he said one sentence that I thought I knew it was a mind game he was playing on me, but you challenged us. It was, I can't remember, it was 18 something of the Open. It was a Friday, and then Philip looks at me and says, "You said you're gonna do it twice, right?" And I was like, "Hell no." I just gave everything. And then Philip says, "But Claus, you're here." And I kind of thought,
it was 18.2.
Bastard, he's right. I am here. And the time, there's space, there's 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And fuck it.
Let's
why not? I've mentally prepared myself to do it. I've already done it. I've proven to myself I can do it.
Right.
Who cares if I'm a minute slower?
Yeah, that's for sure.
I can't remember if I was faster or slower, but I think I'm quite sure I was slower. But it doesn't matter. That the fact is, I got an extra watt out of it. Mm-hmm. I remember Maria and the other Spanish girl. They were standing. And Maria, she was looking at me afterwards. She says, "I couldn't quite figure it out. I saw you do it twice, and I thought, no, I must.
She got confused.
She got confused. She said, I didn't quite understand, and I said, no, we did it twice, both of us, and she was like, what? Who would be stupid enough to do that? But I think I don't anticipate to get a second chance in life, so I'm gonna make the most of this one, and so I like it when there's something left field that comes in and all of a sudden you go, I didn't plan for this, but let's go for it.
Right. I think it's great. I think it's the different personalities. As a coach, you see the different personalities, and then you try to, when you start to know them,
what buttons to push.
Yes, what buttons to push, and what they enjoy. Really, what they first think they won't enjoy will end up being
but there's one guy that's a lot worse than me.
Yeah,
Luca.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, we need to get him on the podcast. That's for sure.
Oh my goodness, he has no cruise control.
Yeah.
It's all in all the time.
Yeah, I love
and he knows how to empty his tank in the end.
Oh my goodness, I can't. I mean, I really enjoy watching Luca.
Yeah.
I just fucking he goes way off the cliff.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if we go more like into being technical with you as a coach, like you and I would say Luca as well. You're kind of in the same category in my mind. Of when you guys are doing the actual workout, I'll let a lot of things slide technically, because I know you guys are keeping the intensity so high, and you're not doing anything that really hurts you. It's more inefficiencies. So that's also that's my approach to it. And some coaches would not let it slide, or they'll be like trying to correct you in things that really won't. It's not a damaging thing you're doing. It's more technical.
I don't like being corrected while I'm in the zone.
That's the thing. Like
it breaks your rhythm.
Yeah, and that's the thing with also bringing it back to the reason why you're here. You're here to enjoy your hour. You're here to work hard.
Yeah.
If you can set up a safe environment for you to go intense that way, I would let a lot of things slide technically. So I think a lot of people that don't understand that kind of angle of it, they point fingers and saying, you know, not for you personally, but let's say someone is not
probably also for me, but
yeah, for sure. Let's say
that was a no rep.
Yeah, let's say it's a no rep because he's not extending the arm, whatever. But the thing is that you got to look at the whole picture, you know. First question, is it safe what he's doing, you know, or is it unsafe? If the answer is yes, it is safe, or at least the efficiency tip is not going to make it more safe. You know, number two is, you know, is he enjoying himself, or would he actually enjoy me more coming and speaking to him, you know, or whatever. So, yeah. But I think you are definitely you're up there on my list of guys that lunatics that I allow to do pretty much what they want to do if they.
I think when it comes to those, I think we're all aware of our weaknesses and our faults and we know
time and place
we know which areas needs improvement, and I think for me, I guess I'm hoping that the WOD will correct my bad movements or the techniques or the warm up. Will help me get to a better place, and I do sometimes feel like I've made a little milestone, but there's on my part there's a lot of mobility issues, and so you know, when you spend nearly 30 years doing one thing and all of a sudden you need to do something else, then it's difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that on my part, it's probably the lack of the extra effort that I just don't have the time or don't prioritize enough. I think, you know, yesterday I was lying in bed going, should I go upstairs and do grace? And I looked over at my wife. I said, listen, we talked about going upstairs and doing grace. And she goes, hell no. I can't remember what she exactly said, but she just gave me that look where I just knew that was a no-go. And then I didn't get myself out of bed either. So, you know, it was late. It was like 9:30 in the evening. But I guess, you know, you have to put in that extra bit if you want to work at things, and you can't expect that the WOD will fix you or just showing up will get you where you need to go, you know.
But I think that's exactly the point you made in the beginning about stretching. You already saw that there's difficulties if you want to implement the stretching into the hour. You said it yourself that the hour should be 1 hour and a half long. And you immediately also understood that it's somehow from the organizing part, it's kind of hard to do in any way. And I think I totally agree that stretching is important, but I wonder if like stretching just once a week in a specialty class, or stretching like you said, for instance, for a Saturday where we really stretch in, if that's really the way to go. Because I think stretching should be something consistent every day.
Exactly.
And it's exactly what you said. You that's something you can do at home. I mean, everybody should have, for instance, rest days. And if you're really taking it seriously, that's something you could also do at your home, taking some time.
I'll tell you what I think in terms of stretching at home. I think it is virtually non-existent.
Yeah,
I know. It's the same reason why he skipped grace. I mean, it's hard. It's just
you have to warm up first.
Yeah.
You know, to do cold stretching is not, you know, safe even. So,
I totally get the point and understand it, but it's just to say how do you implement this? Because I was since I was working on this program to fix my back, I had also every time like 15 to 20 minutes of warming up in a stretching kind of way. That might have been mobilizing, might have been stretching, might have been stability work and stuff like that. But it made that my hour of training went to an hour and a half more because I had this 15 to 20 minutes every time. And it's exactly what you say. If you start doing this every class, it's going to be beneficial health-wise for everybody.
People love it.
Yeah, but
that's the last bit of their guilty conscience. When they come here, they get all the whatever pent-up energy they've had from work or life in general, and they feel great and they've cleared their conscience. But they know there's one thing. Deep down, whether they think about it or not, they know there's one thing, one box that hasn't been ticked. And I think if there was, if there was, let's say there was an extra room.
Yeah. What about upstairs?
I mean, upstairs is I just think what people need again is guidance.
Yeah. What if we?
If you said to people, all right, everybody that's done with the WOD, now you move up there so the next class can come in.
Yeah. What about
but
that?
again, you know, you need one extra person.
But what if you had it on a screen and you had a program like
for me.
Like
I'm a people's person.
Yeah, I know, but still, I mean,
better than nothing.
Yeah,
sure, better than nothing.
Because there is like a pretty good website for this called ROMWOD, which is a CrossFit stretching.
Yeah,
and it gives you a daily program, which is like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and it'll just walk you through the steps.
And
you're in the class.
Will tell you how long to hold the pose for and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing that has stopped me, because I had this idea before, 2 years ago I had this idea, and it keeps coming up. But the problem is that the noise from
logistics.
if you're gonna move the 5 o'clock class upstairs and the 6 o'clock class starts, and we're maybe explaining a workout while the thing is blasting upstairs, it might be a little bit disturbing, but at the same time it might work, because I come from one of the gyms I come from is CrossFit Reykjavik, where you have 1,500 members and you're running 4 classes at a time and 3 mobility so it's the noise is just
what a machine.
Constant. Yeah, it's just a
you
machine.
Have shares in that, right?
Yeah, I wish. But it's a machine, exactly, and there's no and the bad part is
10% of Iceland walks into that gym every day.
Actually it's 0.5%. 1% would be 3,000. So 0.5%. Not every day, but on the roster. But there you cannot really have any music. Because everyone would be on
noise.
Different kind,
one class would be doing a workout, the other one would be explaining the workout, so you can't really, and you can almost say it's become too much of a, I mean, we have that too here in the busier classes, that the coaches are too busy of crowd control and group management, so the actual coaching will be suffering. They don't have time to give you personal cues that much, because just the group management, crowd control is taking over. And there, I would say it's much worse than ours, in a bad way. And then you have gyms on the other way, on the other spectrum of, having 10 or 12 people in the class, and everyone kind of maybe gets a little bit more detailed instructions. But I feel there you don't create the same feel. Like, I like a busy class if it can be without people running into each other and having to lose equipment to someone else. If you can set up your stuff or share it without being much of a hindrance, I enjoy myself when if I'm attending the class. I enjoy everybody's doing something.
Yeah, of course.
And if I can do it in a way where it's not like a clusterfuck, then that's okay. So.
No, absolutely.
But I also agree with what you said when you compared it to your kickboxing training, when you said you had this meditation kind of minute when you calm down. And that's something I learned recently, again from the same coach. I did the workout, which we will have on the podcast at some point, Anders Warner. Really interesting coach. And the whole philosophy there is also that during the day, we're working, we're standing up, we're getting up in the morning, and we're stressed out from that moment. We get up, we get to work, it's stress. Then we come here and we get into this intensity workout where we stress the body again. So that all the time we're stressed, and we always forget to calm down. And that's exactly what you said. If you could come here, even if it's after the workout, and you could just sit somewhere and just do your stretching and relax and bring your mind down,
but you can, I don't know if this will work, but you can envision that, let's say that you had more space, and you had one room that was just for stretching, and people could just come and go, on free flowing.
Yeah, we would do that in a heartbeat. I mean,
then you could send a group into a separate room, and whenever a new wave came in, it will maybe be an indirect signal to whoever was in there already to move on. But people could essentially just, come and go as they would need to book, right? Or maybe they would if it was super popular. But I think that it's something that people would definitely enjoy.
Well, some people do this actually with the room upstairs. But the thing is, that's what I meant. It's too far away. So in a sense, as a coaches, we don't like it too much if people start going through the class while people are doing a workout.
It should be here.
But it
should be on the way out.
From one point of view, that's the problem.
Then people.
I mean, ideally, yes.
Ideally, yeah. And the other thing is, as you say, it's just the noise, So.
Well, you could put some glass there and cover the.
I mean,
you mean close it down?
Close it down. You could.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
If you know that people would use it and people, because
I think location-wise, it's not ideal there.
No.
Yeah, because you have to go through the room.
I mean, in a perfect world, the guys here next to us would go out of business.
Yeah.
The Go. And they would move, and we would take their space.
And we would have more parking space too.
And we could have open gym hours.
You could also go and offer them to move.
Yeah, well, I have talked to them.
You have?
Just
how much space do they have?
Like Italian style.
No, they have basically
with the rows.
They have.
It'll be your name or your blood on this contract.
Yeah. So they have the space that our smaller room, where the rowers are kept.
Yeah.
They'll have the. From the wall there, that they have the pegboards to to the entrance. Yeah. So it's a decent space. Yeah. It's a warehouse.
It's more than enough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it would open up, I would definitely want it to be ours. And what I would envision is something like this. You could run specialty classes on the same hours. You could run basic courses. You could run open gym hours. It'd be great.
I saw your note. How many members are we now? 400?
No, well, it varies. But we're pretty close to it. Yeah.
You mean what's the threshold you actually?
You said now there's a waiting list.
Well, there's a reason why I didn't put a number on the threshold, because it depends on also what services we are offering.
Yeah.
So if I add a class, then that number might change from 350 to 360. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but at the moment with the classes we are offering, I feel like we are, at the maximum of. There are some classes that can certainly have more people, like the 9 a.m. and stuff like this. But on a consistent basis, now we are getting a lot of people in, the afternoons and the 7 a.m. The 12 will vary a lot. Sometimes it's just very low. Sometimes it's super busy. Well, what I tend to look for is, we have one problem. It's that people reserve a spot in the class, and on a consistent basis, if you have 25 reserved in the afternoon for the evening class, 10 of those might cancel.
Last minute.
Yeah, but last minute or 2 hours before, or what it tends to be, if the class looks like it's going to be full all day, and then in actuality it's around 20 to maybe 23 people.
But I know what that is. It's because people sign up for 2 classes, and then they decide after work if they attend the 6 or the 7.
Well, they cannot do that. They shouldn't do that, and that's maybe something that we need to interfere in.
That's an option there is, and people do it because sometimes, and I get it. Some work
not often, but it's happened because I didn't know which class my training buddy would make.
Exactly.
So if I've made an appointment with a friend and I said, listen, so I'll say something like, I've signed up for the 7. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make the 7. It may be 6. Okay, then I'll book the 6 o'clock also. Yeah. And then you're waiting for somebody to reply back to you, and then you cancel whatever you don't need.
Yeah.
So
that's what actually I don't like in the whole idea. If you sign, not you as Claus, but as a general people, if they sign up for 2 classes and they have their reason for it and understand it, it's still unfair to do this while complaining that the classes are full. Because that happens.
I've never complained about a full class.
People complain about classes are full, but they sign up for 2 classes. If 10 people do this,
so it looks fuller than it is.
I tried it. I think it was last week or the week before, where I tried to book a class really early in the morning, and it was already full. I thought, how on earth before 9 o'clock in the morning can it be full? And then so I was basically taking a picture of the ward, and I thought, damn it, I'll have to see what I can do with it, because it was one that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then within 2 minutes,
It opened up.
somebody cancelled, and I booked it.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later, it was full again. So I thought, all right, there's definitely some fluctuation going on.
There's some commotion, and that's something that I have decided to just, and maybe something I need to reconsider, is that we're very lenient in the way we allow people to do this. And it's, I mean, the way I envision it is just, I trust people to make a smart decision of, if they're gonna come, they sign in. If something comes up, they can cancel.
But you could do what airlines do, right? You overbook.
Oh, some boxes they actually charge for. They charge a fee, which I would never do. But they charge a fee for
no show.
Late, no show up or late cancellations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's like a small penalty.
Yeah.
But I might do you also have 3 strikes. You can do it 3 times, and then if you don't, you get suspended for. So there are ways that gyms do this.
That'll never work.
But it depends.
It's hard to treat people like kids.
It depends on how.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to treat people like adults, and I expect adult behavior.
But the thing is, you have to remember that people, even adults, sometimes behave like children. And as a teacher, I can relate to that. I mean, you can give your students or your clients the kind of trust that they are adults and they can behave like that, and which we do, and that's why we'd never do something like that. But what if you have people that don't behave like that, and you have the most people that behave like children? Then at some point you do have to take decisions to change something in your system, and that might be a bit more strict, So, but I totally agree with you that doing that charging them for being late is kind of crazy.
I'm sure you can software-wise just make sure that you can only take one at a time per day.
Yeah, I don't know if. I will check into that, but that's something.
People's gonna hate me. Sorry, guys.
Then you have to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But I often when I want to sign in and I see it's full, well, it's just about waiting. Yeah. Usually, there's always somebody dropping out, and that's probably because of that. Because people then decide, okay, I'm taking that class, so they sign out.
And then in actuality, if you would actually just, not saying people should do that, but if there are 25 signed in, there's a 90% chance that one of those 25 will cancel the last minute.
Yeah, exactly.
But it might also happen that you have 25. So, but it is an indication. When I implemented the 25 cap, it was for the members and of course the coaches as well. But we were having, it would never work to have open for all at the moment, but we would have just high inconsistencies in the member count. Mm-hmm. So, but
I feel that because I used to very often be at the 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And same faces nearly every time.
Yeah.
I think that's a sign of happy customers.
Yeah.
I coached one time. I coached at 7 o'clock, and I found it's kind of amazing. It's a completely it's just one. For me, it was like a separate community of the same box because I never see them. Most of them I never see,
right?
And they're all really cool together. They all know each other, and I found that really.
That's
interesting.
the same with. I would say it's the same with the lunch crew and
exactly.
Any class.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
But I think that from what I understand, that there's a different vibe for each class. Because they're different types of people.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so. So my wife, for instance, she says that she thinks it's a more butch atmosphere in the 7 o'clock.
Okay, yeah.
Where she goes in the morning, and that's more her tempo.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't put my finger on why, but
I don't know.
For her, it works out with the time.
Yeah.
But it suits her personality better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but sometimes she's in the mood for the 7 o'clock. She said, I wish I could go with you tonight. I said, well, priorities.
Go in for blood. No, but we'll end her on this note, since we're talking about this. There was a girl that trains in Paris, and she was about to train here, and she's done a lot of trainings with us. She's just traveling back and forth. And she said that she really loved the space she gets here, and she attends the busiest hours, because she was saying the box in Paris, it was just terrible. She couldn't she would have to, every time she would have to share the equipment for the workout, and the space was just very minimal. So I think sometimes we run into issues with the class being busy, but most of the time I think it's okay.
Well, on a general note, to be honest, I mean, we do tend to always see the bad things in what we do and what we have around us, okay? And if that's here, you're going to start complaining or seeing the negative things and putting that into perspective. But as soon as you start comparing to more, like here in this case, more boxes, you might find that it's a similar thing everywhere, and everywhere you go there might be negative stuff. And that's what I meant with my comment on the internet of just saying, like, let's be happy with what we have, and from here move forward, and just stay positive and in building up the whole community.
That comes from I mean, what you're talking about is that the people that, like myself, has never trained in any other box.
Mm-hmm.
This box is my benchmark.
Exactly.
So I have no clue how it is other places, but the boxes I've looked at online and so on, the most common thing that is the reason for why I don't want to go there is that I find it too small. Mm-hmm. If I see it's a narrow tunnel kind of box, I go, where do they run? Where do they, that doesn't look like a place where I want to, there's only room for two people side by side, and there's no more space. Mm-hmm. And it's like a wall rack, and there's, we have a wide and a long box. It gives us opportunities to do things. So I just think it's like when you bought your first computer, you thought it was really quick. 6 months later, you thought, wow, it's slow. Yeah. You get used to what you have, and then you think that this will always be the benchmark, and everything else is better. So,
and that's what I mean. Thinking and reflecting on what you have and being happy with what you have, and then from there, go on and look for more. But
I think on that basis, I think that I think people see the constant improvements. Now it's the baths. I think for me, I've always said, this is where you should focus, because
everybody
at least they've been clean. But I know that sometimes when you're lying on the floor there and you want to do a burpee, you're inhaling all sorts of rubber crumble, and you go, wow, does this place ever get cleaned? I think that gradually, like a picture coming into focus, things are moving in the right direction. You're raising the rates now. I assume that will be put to good use, right? So I think that it's a progression, and I think everybody's really happy with it. Of course, it's annoying on a day like today, but if we have nice showers next week, I think everybody's going to be happy. Of course. Absolutely. So when is the sauna coming? Exactly. When is the hammam gonna be there?
That's the goal.
We're waiting for the sauna building guy joining the box.
Constant improvement. I mean, that's what it is. You try to improve constantly, and if you're not there, you shouldn't be in charge of anything. If you're not trying to improve what you're trying to run, I think you shouldn't be running it. Well, all right. Thank you, Claus.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we haven't introduced him.
Wow.
So Claus,
it's too late now.
No, it's not too late. It's still recording.
It needs no introduction.
But I liked how it started today.
Yeah, it was good.
It's exactly what you always wanted.
I didn't know that it had started. I knew, of course, once I have no idea where you actually started this.
Oh man,
we'll see.
You're in trouble.
People have probably listened 3 minutes, then they go, "Fuck, this is boring." Click.
That was good.
So who has been on the show before? I've not.
So we had Jörg, last one.
Yeah.
And we had Fletcher was the first one.
Yeah.
We had Anna Swisser. She's a doctor, and she is the director of ELECO educational program. Yeah. And then now you're the fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, we took a small break. Joey got sick. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's true. I was sick last week.
No, but the goal is still to talk about different things and mostly interview the people we know. Yeah.
Well, that's been good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yep.
See you soon.